Hey guys, hope you are well. So, welcome to the Anime Fictions 2.0. This is the story about what if Naruto reincarnated as slime. Part 2. If you love this whatif, do subscribe for more awesome whatif. Share with your friends and enjoy them. Check out the other videos I have created. Comment down your opinion. Share with your friends. So, without wasting any time, let's jump into the second part. Remind me why you're making me leave this early to go to the cave. Naruto was currently in the process of walking out from his house to the cave he and Kurama train in. Kurama had said he wanted to do something and wanted no chance of someone else following them. Naruto exited the village gate before Kurama answered again. I want to relink as quickly as possible. Yes, you have improved, but it's not enough. I've severely underestimated the strength and power of individuals here. Guess that's what happens when you're used to being called the strongest being in another world, Kurama explained. Naruto nodded his head in understanding. He had asked Rigard for some books the other day on the rest of the world, and half the beings he read about would make even Madara shit his pants. You're right, and sometimes I wish I still had Sage of Six Paths mode. Truth-seeking orbs would help so much in this world, Naruto sighed to himself in dismay. Kurama seemed confused though. Wait, what? You don't have Sage of Six Paths mode? Questioned Kurama. Naruto seemed even more confused. Why would I? The lady who had spoken when he died never said anything about Sage of Six Paths mode. Naruto, think about it. What else do you have that the voice never mentioned? Kurama asked slightly mockingly. Huh. My host is an idiot, Kurama thought in dismay. I heard that. Oh wait. You're talking about chakra, realized Naruto. Yes, there you go. Do you want a piece of candy? Kurama mockingly stated. Shut it, you overgrown fox. Besides that, I think I understand what you're saying. We will try it out once we relink, said Naruto. Kurama grunted and Naruto took that as agreeing with him. They were 50 feet from the cave when C suddenly appeared in front of Naruto. Naruto-sama, I bring news. There is a group of lizard men camping in the middle of the forest. They seem to be lost but have also been talking about finding goblin villages to recruit for something. I had also spotted the army of orcs, at least 200,000, on their way towards lizardmen territory. What do you want me to do? Sui spoke in a quiet but quick voice. Naruto adopted a thinking pose before answering. I was in the process to go train to gain a stronger form. So, for right now, ignore them. I will find the lizardmen after I have finished with that. For now, go and warn Rigard of the approaching army and that the lizardmen may try and form an alliance with us, said Naruto in a serious tone. Sui bowed his head and left. Can you see the future or something? How do you know today would be a good day to relink? Naruto was suspicious. This was too convenient for him. Anything convenient typically ended in a mess. Well, why are you the only one that got to talk to the mystery voice? I died with you. Plus, you're the one that dragged my ass into this dimension, Kurama answered. Naruto was confused for about 3 seconds before realizing what Kurama was implying. Did you also get unique skills? That's amazing. What did you get? Naruto questioned excitedly. This was incredible. He and Kurama were connected, so theoretically they could share skills. Well, for one, I have this skill called Great Sage. I have a guess why that happened. I believe it is because I was thanking the old man for such a great life. Normally you would hear her /him/it too, but I blocked out the voice for you. Naruto thanked him for that. One voice was bad enough. It is a very useful skill, though a lot of times I just ignore it. It's a library that answers all your questions, explained Kurama in simple terms. What else did you get? This was game-changing. Having a voice with unlimited information was just what they needed. Naruto wondered silently why Kurama hadn't told him about this before. I have a skill called Rampage, which basically makes me the Ten-Tails for a bit. The longest I would have been able to hold the form for is about 10 minutes. And before you ask, yes, I learned this from Great Sage. You would have noticed if I used the skill. At this time, your body would probably crumble from attempting to use that much power at once. Obito was only able to be the Ten-Tails pseudo-Jinchuriki because they had time to set it up in a safe way, explained Kurama. They had reached the cave when Naruto spoke again. That makes sense. From what I understand, Madara had been making up that plan for a couple of decades. I would be more surprised if they did that randomly and on a whim. Now, enough of that stuff. We'll think about it another time. For now, let's try relinking, Naruto suggested. Kurama agreed. Naruto sat down in the middle of the cave before giving the mental command to attempt linking. The cave lit up in a color show of yellow, orange, some red, and a distinct blue. When the light came down, Naruto could be seen in Kurama's chakra mode, but there were some major differences. He still had the slitted eyes and black bars as whiskers, but the color scheme was different in general. Is that dragon still affected you? How fucking strong was it? Kurama complained. Naruto should only have to use his powers. He was strong enough. Kurama's ego had nothing to do with this. I'm not going to complain, I look badass either way, Naruto spoke aloud. Naruto had walked over to a small puddle of water to see his reflection. He was right. The bottom of his cloak was lit up like a flame with a blue hue, while the rest of his cloak was still the standard bright gold. Around the collar was a dragon flowing from one end to another. His hair was still a bright yellow. The black symbols were still there as well. Why is everything here make you a badass, but I don't get an upgrade? Kurama grumbled to himself. Naruto was still in his little world checking out his look, so he didn't hear Kurama or the person that spoke next. /notice/ individual QB has available upgrades. Proceed with upgrades? Hell yes! Kurama practically screamed. He deserved to look cooler too. Inside the mindscape, Kurama changed. For one, he got taller, and his tails grew longer. Next, all around his body was covered in armor similar to a samurai. But instead of the purple coloring he had experienced before, it was a dark blue. In front of him appeared a giant sword as well. Well, this is cool and all. But I'm stuck in this brat's mind. Plus, if I tried escaping, it would kill him. I'm not in the mood to kill my container right now either. At least I got something, I guess, Kurama complained. How would this help anyone? He couldn't interact with the outside world anymore. /notice/ safely remove QB to the outside world? Kurama was seriously tempted to agree and be free, but he paused himself. He also considered questioning how they would achieve that, but Great Sage had never steered him wrong before. Great Sage, what would happen to Naruto and I's bond? Would we still be able to achieve our variety of modes? Kurama asked, surprisingly worried. Kurama would never say it aloud, but he cherished his and Naruto's unique bonds. None of the other tailed beasts besides B and Eight Tails had anything similar. /notice/ individuals Kyuubi and Naruto Uzumakigafu will continue to be connected through a bond. Removal of Kyuubi from Naruto Uzumakigafu will not sever any bond. Mental speaking will continue. Proceed with the removal of Kyuubi? Make it as painless as possible, Kurama asked, anxious to see how this would go. /notice/ confirmed. Removing Kyuubi from Naruto Uzumakigafu. There was nothing for a couple of seconds before Kurama saw a flash and was suddenly outside. He was about the size of a wolf and kept all his tails. All the armor that was given to him was there, and there was the sword that he was given. I'm in the outside world. I'm in the outside world. I'm in the fucking outside world again. Kurama yelled in his head. For the first time in decades, Kurama was free from any kind of confinement. Kurama turned and saw Naruto still gushing over his new looks. The fox gained a devious grin before walking up to Naruto. Naruto! Turn around quickly! Kurama exclaimed through their mental link. His goal was to prank the prankster. Kurama watched as Naruto quickly spun around and threw a kunai at him. The kunai hit him right in the eye. Ow! You asshole! I just got this eye! Exclaimed Kurama while rolling on the floor, clutching his eye. You can be too naive at times, Kurama. Remember I told you I could hear you whenever you think you're talking to yourself. I couldn't hear, Great Sage, but I could get the general idea from what you said. I'm happy for you, buddy. You can finally be free, Naruto spoke genuinely. His best friend was free and could finally have his own life. Kurama was no longer tied down to Naruto. That is true, but don't think you're getting rid of me that easily. You always attract trouble, and trouble is exactly what I need to try my new stuff. So, now you're stuck with me, brat, Kurama declared. Naruto wasn't going to complain. If this was what Kurama wanted to do, who was he to stop him? If that's what you want, sure then. Just warn me before you attempt to use Rampage. I have a theory that if we're in your chakra mode, plus Sage mode, I'll survive. What do you think? Naruto's theory made sense to him. His base mode may not be able to handle it, but Kurama's chakra mode had a lot of durability. Plus, if he added Sage mode like before, he would be even more durable. It might work. Otherwise, you might blow up. Literally. Guts flying everywhere and everything. Naruto deadpanned at the bluntness of his friend. Thanks for the support. How about we try that another time? We wanted to try Six Paths mode, remember? Naruto walked into the middle of the cave again, just in case he blew up or something. Naruto activated it, and instantly Kurama could tell he did. His power figuratively and literally shot through the roof of the cave. The power flowed out of him, but it was different than when normal shinobi flex their chakra externally. The air all around Naruto was filled with a purple-looking cloud. It covered the entire cave until Naruto reined it back into himself. A singular truth-seeking orb appeared behind him. He took a couple of deep breaths before opening his eyes. How was that, Kurama? Naruto was curious. You could easily handle most monsters in this world. You'd probably destroy most lower-tier dragons. A lot of demon lord underlings wouldn't be able to touch you. I don't have enough information to tell you how you do against the different demon lords, but I think you'd survive long enough to regroup if you were losing. We're still going to have to be careful if we come across that adventurer that trapped Veldora. Most of Kum's guesses came from Great Sage. I guess I'll have to fight a demon lord or something similar to it to figure out my limit. I guess I'll try fighting that orc lord first. I've heard that it can gain strength similar to that of a demon lord. Naruto moved from sitting on the ground and let his various modes fade. He waved to Kurama to follow him and planned on finding that group of lizard men. Do you want me to remain hidden from your friends and the villagers? Asked Kurama. Naruto shook his head in denial. Nah, they deserve to know. Just be careful around Shizu-chan. I don't know how she would react to you considering how similar our situations were. Kurama nodded and agreed to be considerate. He opened his mouth to speak again, but Naruto cut him off. And before you ask, no? If Ranga challenges you for whatever reason, you can't fight him. I expect you and him to both suck your feelings of pride up and deal with it, understood? Kurama looked annoyed but continued walking. Let's link for a while so I can sense the group easier. Again, Naruto and Kurama quickly linked. The same cloak as before appeared with the blue, flaming hue along the bottom. Did you spot them? Naruto gave Kurama a look that said, Are you serious right now? Nope, our link is broken and I can't sense anything. Yes, of course, I can sense them. I can sense everything for miles. They're about 500 feet to our northeast. Let's go see what they want. Gabra's group. Do not worry, men. Your great Gabra-sama will lead you to where we need to go. Gabru and his men had spent the night in the cold with little to no coverage. Considering they were reptilian, it was a miracle they were still alive. Currently, they were walking slightly mindlessly through the forest. They had a general plan of where they wanted to walk this time, unlike yesterday. Recently, they had felt an enormous amount of magicules that came from a mountain southwest of them. Gabru figured he could find whoever that was and convince them with his awesomeness to show him where the last goblin village was. They walked for a few minutes before something practically teleported into their sight. It was a young man that stood around the height of 5 feet 9 inches. His body literally glowed yellow, and there was a flame near the bottom of the cloak that shone a brightly blue. To his right was a fox with 9 tails. It was about the size of a direwolf but had a much more respect-demanding aura. The fox had blue armor that covered its body and had a sword strapped on his back vertically. So, you guys are the group of lizard men C had met earlier? The man asked. There was no tone in his voice, and that made him more intimidating for some reason. They look like a bunch of chumps, the fox surprisingly said. That slightly freaked the lizard men out before remembering they were similar to crocodiles and could speak. Gabru was able to find his voice again first among his group. I am the great Gabru, and these are my men. We were sent by my father, the tribe ruler, to form an alliance with a goblin village. Do you know where they are? The lizard man practically yelled. It reminded Naruto of when he was younger. Still, he nodded his head at Gabru's question. I live there. Would you like me to show you to the village? Be warned, however, one wrong move, and I will cut you down without remorse, Naruto spoke in a voice that reinforced his threat. He was naive in his past, something he's trying to fix, and right now, these are strangers. This was no time to be making friends with potential enemies. He had the resolve to protect what he wanted this time around, without remorse. Gabru rapidly nodded his head, but stopped and coughed into his hand. Feel grateful, for you will be assisting the great Gabra-sama. His men cheered in the back enthusiastically. What a weird group. Naruto thought to himself. I agree, Kurama answered. Do you think we could make soup from them? I'm kinda hungry right now. Quite tempting, but unfortunately, no. We may need this alliance to help with the army of orcs, Naruto wisely noted. Kurama agreed, but that didn't make him any less hungry. Naruto returned to the real world and faced the group of lizard men. Let's get going. I would like to see if we can strike a deal as quickly as possible. Gabru nodded and waved his hand to indicate for his men to follow Naruto. Naruto turned around and faced them again. Oh, by the way, the name's Naruto Uzumaki. This is Kurama. He spoke in a slightly uncaring tone. He would deal with them until Rigard either denied them or accepted them. They continued walking, not another word was spoken between the two groups. Goblin Village an hour later. I hope no one was worried I left in the morning. Or, at least, I hope they aren't like Sakura and Granny. I think I may be missing more than half my brain cells from them alone. He rubbed his head from the phantom pain. And people wonder why he's stupid at times. Damn brain damage, that's why. Naruto walked 2 feet into the village before old memories were brought to the surface. Someone had the audacity to smash him to the ground like whack-a-mole. What the hell? Who did that? He stopped mid-sentence when he saw who it was. Standing to his right was Cheyenne with an angry expression. Her eyes told him she was worried as well. Kurama snickered at his partner's demise. Where were you? We searched for hours after noticing you hadn't come out of your tent for hours. Cheyenne started scolding Naruto for not telling anyone, but for especially not telling her. She was his assistant, it was her job to know where he was at all times. Hey, whoa, chill. Don't blame me only. He pointed over at his best friend who looked betrayed. Yell at him too. He's the one that dragged me out of bed at 4 a.m. Naruto declared. Kurama gave him a glare for trying to blame this all on him. That's not an excuse. From now on, I will go with you everywhere unless it's extremely important. Cheyenne decided with determination. Naruto paled slightly. Look. You can yell at me later, right now I have to speak to Rigard immediately. Naruto transferred into his slime form and crawled out of the hole. He was going to go back into his human form because that's what he's most comfortable in, but Cheyenne had other ideas. She quickly scooped him up and held him in her arms. Don't worry about walking, Naruto-kun. I'll carry you, she said cheerfully, a rapid mood change. Naruto was going to protest but decided against it when Cheyenne's smile twitched and Naruto realized he might die if he refuses. If that's what you want, Cheyenne-chan. Naruto gave up easily. Women can be scary when they want to be. Rigard's tent. Cheyenne carried Naruto inside the tent. Gabiru had chosen 3 of his men to join him inside. The rest stayed outside for the time being. Kurama stood outside to watch the rest of the lizardmen group. Rigard, I have some guests I'd like you to meet, Naruto announced when Cheyenne brought him inside. Rigard's tent was spacious, but some tables could be seen throughout the tent with maps on them. Rigard was sitting at the end of a table with his advisors sitting at the sides of the table around him. One of Sui's body doubles could be seen standing in the corner. Rigard stood up to meet the group. Ah. Naruto-sama, welcome back. He said excitedly, we have started making preparations per Sui-san's suggestion. Naruto nodded his head and was glad Rigard could operate independently. Good. What have you come up with? Rigard moved back to the table and sat down. In front of him was a map with different pieces on them. Each piece represented a different group and where they were. These were accurate because Sui's clones, or body doubles as he calls them, were better Naruto's in that sense. They could have real-time reports rather than Naruto's clones, who had to pop. We figured that working with the lizardmen would be our best choice. We have chosen to visit them in 7 days because that's when the orc army would reach them, Rigard explained professionally. Good, we have their representative right here. Naruto stretched his body out of Cheyenne's arms to point at Gabiru. He's a bit of an airhead and is very arrogant, but I think overall he's a good person. We'll have to send someone with him on his journey back. There's no telling how smart the person operating the orc army is. Gabiru could be intercepted and ultimately killed. That could put us in a bad position when making deals with the lizardmen. Everyone agreed with Naruto. Especially Gabiru, considering he liked living. Sui stepped out of his corner. Naruto-sama, I will bring them back. While there, I will mention that our village forces would return in 7 days to help in the battle against the orcs. Sui's suggestion was quick and right to the point. That is fine with me, however, Rigard is the ultimate leader. So you have to ask him. Naruto did not want to lead. Rigard was in charge, and he would be damned if someone tried making him take over. Rigard agreed with Sui's idea. Sui would make sure the message got across. Plus, with his body doubles, he could better scout ahead, in the case that there is trouble. I agree with Sui-san. For now, Naruto-sama, could you act as a scout in Sui's place? Rigard asks. Not that he needs to, he's the leader. Sure thing, Rigard-san. I'll take Shizu-chan with me, she'll enjoy moving around. And before I leave, I'll make sure to say bye to Shuna-chan. Everyone nodded and the meeting was dismissed. Kurama turned to Naruto as Cheyenne carried him out. I hope you realize that the pink-haired one is going to be upset. Just because they were separated physically, doesn't mean they were in the spiritual sense. Kurama would still die if Naruto did. Why do you think I'm gathering energy for Sage Mode? Shuna-chan can be scary as hell. Huh. I wonder if these guys would be upset if I were to kill one of their brethren. It was a weird question, considering who it came from. Naruto was never known to be one to take lives unless forced to. Of course, if he knew someone was not able to be saved, he would kill them on the spot. He's grown out of naivety and planned to keep it that way. Still, it was strange considering what he was talking about. Meh. Who cares? They're literally ants compared to you. Kurama spoke from beside Naruto. Ranga had been given the day off after Naruto ordered him to rest. Kurama had joined his partner in just looking around the nearby forest for anything of interest. Yeah, but we were ants compared to Kagaya and we still cared when a comrade died. Niji was the first person to pop into his mind, but he ignored it for the time being. Plus, think about it this way. What if we were to recruit the ants in some way? What if they had an alliance with the spiders or something? That could easily be used to spy on enemies. Naruto became more and more sure as he spoke. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Kurama deadpanned. Naruto stuck his tongue out at Kurama and continued speaking, seriously though. Imagine the amount of intelligence we could have. Who suspects an ant? It's an ant for fuck's sake. Kurama was slowly, but surely, nodding his head. Naruto was almost there to convince his partner of his plans. Kurama was still hesitant. Sigh. What if we asked them to create an alliance with the fleas and ticks and tell them to stay off you? That did it. Deal. Kurama looked towards the ants on the ground. You insignificant, Kurama started. No. You'll scare them. Naruto interrupted. We have to be more peaceful about this. No fighting, and let's just talk with them. Kurama looked annoyed at not being able to make them his slaves but conceded to his partner's idea. Fini. Naruto nodded at Kurama, finally agreeing. Okay. Now we just have to find a way to communicate with them. Both partners adopted a thinking pose and tried to come up with a way to communicate with the ants. Eventually, they weren't able to think of anything, and decided to ask around the village if anyone knew a method they could use. Goblin Village. The first person they visited was Rigard. Rigard had been able to answer many questions in the past, and Naruto was confident he could have an answer now. They walked up to Town Hall and opened it to find him not doing anything. Rigard noticed Naruto instantly, and started to make himself look busy. Ah. Ha. Naruto-sama. It is good to see you. What can I help you with? There was a bead of sweat that ran down Rigard's face as he spoke. Ma, don't worry about it, Rigard-san. I would be slacking off if I were you too. We did come with a purpose though. We wanted to know if you knew of any way to communicate with ants? Naruto questioned. Rigard looked confused, but he dared not to question someone he looked highly up to. I do not know, Naruto-sama. I would suggest asking one of the ogres if they know anything. Sorry for not being more of help to you. Rigard bowed his head at Naruto. It's nothing too serious, Rigard. We just wanted to know if you knew anything. I'll go ask Shuna and Cheyenne. The rest are out on guard duty, taking over for Ranga. Thanks anyway. Naruto waved back at Rigard as he and Kurama left the hut. Sewing shop, Shuna-chan. Naruto yelled as he entered. There was no one in the front area, so he decided to go in the back area. He found Shuna sitting at a table, but she seemed to be deeply invested in something. He couldn't see what. Shuna, however, was in her own little world at the moment. Naruto had told her about his dad's Hokage cloak and how cool it was. She was planning to make something similar to that, but it would be specially made by her. Ha! Take that, Cheyenne! I'm making something Naruto would be wearing constantly. While in her little world, she didn't notice Naruto entered, and thus jumped 10 feet high when Naruto tapped her shoulder. You okay, Shuna-chan? Naruto had his head tilted to the side slightly when he talked to her. She had landed perfectly where she was, so he assumed she wasn't injured. Yeah. I'm fine, Naruto-kun. She quickly hid the cloak she had been making for him in a basket to the side. What can I help you with? She asked nicely while smiling. Naruto smiled back at her and asked his strange question, do you know any way to communicate with ants? Kurama and I came up with an idea that would make learning the enemy's plans much easier. Shuna was going to laugh at the question but stopped when she noticed he was serious. No, I'm afraid not, Naruto-kun. She felt kinda bad because Naruto instantly wilted and looked sad. Damn. Well, thanks anyway, Shuna-chan. I'll go ask Cheyenne-chan and see if she knows anything. Naruto waved and turned to walk out of the little workspace, but Shuna stopped him. Wait. I'll come with you. I am suddenly very invested in your idea, Shuna declared to Naruto. Naruto was suspicious, but decided Shuna coming along wouldn't be a bad thing. Sure, I don't mind, Naruto answered. Shuna smiled brightly and walked to Naruto so she could walk beside him. Let's go. Office tent / Naruto's tent. Naruto had allowed Cheyenne to sleep in his tent as she pleased. It was more because she would be dead tired after demanding to carry Naruto around all day. He had more weight than he expected. Knowing this, Naruto wasn't surprised when he found Cheyenne sleeping on one of his couches. Sometimes she would steal his bed if he went out by himself, but otherwise she got the couch. Shuna, however, was not prepared and was surprised to find her rival sleeping on Naruto's couch. What's she doing? Shuna yelled to Naruto. Naruto shrugged his shoulders as a response. She just kinda vibes here. I don't mind as long as I keep my privacy. Plus, with her carrying me all day, it's the least I could do. It's not like I use that couch anyways. Naruto answered with little care. Shuna was still annoyed but conceded to his point. Naruto walked up to Cheyenne and started to attempt to wake her. Kurama had different ideas, unfortunately. Kurama jumped up onto Cheyenne and started pawing at her face. Wake up. I need to feed my curiosity, he practically yelled to the sleeping girl. Cheyenne bolted straight up and sent Kurama comically flying out the door. Damn mutt, she muttered under her breath. Cheyenne turned and noticed the two other people standing there. Oh, hello, Naruto-kun and Shuna-sama, she spoke respectfully. Please, Shuna-chan, when it's just us, Shuna replied. Cheyenne nodded her head and turned to Naruto when he started talking. Hey, Cheyenne-chan. Do you know a way to communicate with ants? Naruto asked seriously. Cheyenne stared at him, slightly wide-eyed. She was still for a few seconds before she suddenly latched onto Naruto before he could react. Cheyenne bawled her eyes out while talking, finally. Someone who sees my point of view. Ants would be perfect to talk to. I love you for this, Naruto-kun. Cheyenne yelled while Naruto tried prying her off. Love, / get off. Shuna and Naruto yelled at the same time. Eventually, Naruto was able to shake the young girl off of him and set her on the couch. Naruto and Shuna stood in front of Cheyenne. So, do you know any ways to speak with ants? Naruto asked, slightly excited. This was the closest he's gotten to achieving his spy network. It would be better than Jiraiya's, he knew it. Cheyenne slightly wilted on the spot when he asked, No. But I do know someone who would know. She sprung back up to a standing position and leaned over a coffee table and was close to Naruto's. We can ask Shizu-chan. She would know, Cheyenne exclaimed. Naruto nodded at the idea. Shizu seemed to travel around a lot. Alright, let's go to her tent and ask her then. You can come if you'd like, Cheyenne-chan. Cheyenne agreed quickly. They walked out of the tent to go to Shizu's tent, completely ignoring the passed-out Kurama on the way out. Shizu's cabin / hut. Shizu had been up and moving for a while now. Naruto no longer needed to assist her to do basic chores or move around in general. Though, she did miss having Naruto around. He was a great guy to talk to whenever she was bored. I need to learn how to control my old abilities along with what I had gotten from Naruto-kun. Shizu's thoughts were interrupted by a knock on her door. She walked over and opened it to find Naruto, Cheyenne, and Shuna standing by her door. Kurama could be seen tossed over to the side of her miniature lawn. Naruto waved when Shizu opened the door and spoke first. Hey, Shizu-chan. We had some questions for you, mind if we come in? He asked politely. Shizu nodded her head and moved to let them inside. They moved towards the living room area and it was 3 on one couch with Shizu on another across from them. What can I do for you? Shizu asked curiously. Naruto pulled out a jar from Kami knows where and showed her what was inside. 3 ants were crawling around on the bottom of the jar. Shizu looked back at Naruto, slightly confused. What are the ants for? Naruto gained a glint in his eyes and went on to explain how his godfather had a spy network, and he had been thinking about it today while out with Kurama. Naruto had then spotted the ants on the side of the path, and the idea of using ants as spies came to mind. In the end, Shizu was still very confused about how the hell Naruto came up with these things. Naruto, that sounds like a wonderful idea on paper. But ants in this world can't think. They don't have a thought process, Shizu explained. Kurama? Naruto asked suddenly. Cheyenne was carrying him to where Shuna was working on clothes for the goblins while at the same time teaching some goblins how to sew themselves. Kurama was walking slightly to their left. Yeah? Kurama had discarded the armor and soared into some space dimension storage thing. Great Sage tried explaining, but Kurama ignored it /her/him during the explanation. Just in case I die from bodily harm, what would happen to you? Would you reincarnate here, at home, or not at all? It was something Naruto had been thinking about. They were connected through their bond, and if Kurama died then Naruto would be fine, but what if Naruto died? It used to be that he would reincarnate after a few decades or centuries because of his chakra. But there's no chakra here. Kurama stayed silent for the rest of the walk until they reached Shuna's tent. Meh, hell if I know. I'll just assume I'll reincarnate and be done with that subject. Naruto nodded and agreed to stop talking about it. Most people wouldn't want to talk about their deaths anyways. They had reached Shuna's tent while they were walking and Naruto was beginning to regret his decision. The only reason he was slightly scared was that he had promised Shuna to hang out for a whole day. Today was supposed to be that day, and well, here he is, about to leave again. Naruto transformed and hopped out of Cheyenne arms to go knock on the makeshift door. Naruto knocked 3 times before calling out Shuna's name. Shuna-chan, I have some bad news. Also please don't kill me, I'm still a virgin. Naruto whispered the last part to himself. The door quickly opened and Shuna was standing at the door in her usual dress. Naruto had always thought that Shuna was the cutest out of his 3 main female companions. That's not to say Cheyenne and Shizu aren't precious in their own ways, but that's a discussion for a later date. Hello, Naruto-kun. What news did you have for me? Shuna asked while guiding her guests into her home. The inside was pretty basic, which wasn't surprising, all things considered. Naruto would have to ask the dwarves to teach the goblins how to make decorations and other household appliances. So, you know how we were planning on hanging out today? Shuna tilted her head in confusion but nodded still. Well, I'm going to have to cancel. Rigard-san had asked me to take over for Soai and act as a scout for the incoming orc army. Naruto explained. Naruto expected a couple of different reactions to him giving Shuna the news. Most were not good. The only good reaction he could think of was her understanding his position. What he had not expected, however, was her next question. Can I come with you? She asked innocently. Too innocently. Kurama, help me. Take over and say no for me. She's too innocent to say no to, I mean, look at those puppy eyes. Naruto practically begged through their link. Hell no! You deal with her yourself. Your mates, your problems. Kurama argued back. Naruto sputtered in real life and in his head, What? What are you talking about, you stupid fox? Kurama ignored Naruto, and Naruto was forced to answer. Are you sure, Shuna-chan? We will most likely be gone for a few days. Shizu will be with us too, so I can't always be there to make sure you're both alright, Naruto asked kindly. Shuna looked annoyed when Naruto said about protecting her and Shizu, but Naruto defended himself before she could refute him. I'm not trying to say you both can't take care of yourselves, it's just that I don't want a repeat of history where I lose someone because I wasn't there. Shuna seemed to calm down after Naruto explained himself. She looked him right in the eyes before speaking again. I understand where you are coming from, and I know Shizu-chan isn't in the best of shape right now, but I will be fine. I know a lot of defensive and offensive magic. I would be a good support to assist you and Shizu-chan if needed. Shuna explained, determined to get her day with Naruto. Naruto sighed, but still nodded his head in understanding and agreement. If that's what you want, then sure. You can come with Shizu-chan and I while Sui goes to the lizardmen territory. Shuna cheered. Cheyenne looked ready to ask to go as well, but Naruto shut her down quickly. Sorry, Cheyenne-chan. I need you to stay here in the village in case anything happens. Think of it as a mini vacation to spend some time by yourself. Naruto reasoned. Cheyenne conceded to his idea and agreed to stay back. Naruto left Shuna to pack a bag and prepare while he went to inform Shizu he was taking her with him. Cheyenne went to go take a nap because she had done an all-nighter the night before. Shizu's hut/tent. Shizu's abode could be explained in a few words. It was bland, Spartan, but practical. Everything was laid out in a way that made it moving around easy. She was one of the few people in the village that had a sink. Naruto had gotten the idea to put gallons of water in a storage seal and then taught Shizu how to release it. She had minuscule amounts of chakra, but that could change down the road. Shizu-chan. Naruto made himself known while walking in with Kurama. Shizu had continued to get better over days since he had last helped her. Now she could walk around easily, if not with a little limp. Naruto had walked in on her making herself some lunch. Shizu turned when Naruto came in. Naruto-kun, good to see you. she said with a smile. How are you? She asked politely while sitting at the table with her sandwich. She saw Kurama but ignored him for the moment. Naruto sat across from her and then spoke. Rigard-san had asked me to take you and Shuna-chan to go scout out the orc army. Sui had been put in charge of delegations with the lizard men, so Rigard had asked me to fill in for him. I had asked if you could come along because I thought you would enjoy getting out. He paused for a few moments to let her finish chewing. What do you think? Shizu wiped her mouth with a napkin and then answered, That sounds wonderful. Is there anyone that is going with us besides Shuna-chan? Shizu asked as she went to clean her plate. Naruto shot a side glance at Kurama. My partner, Kurama, would be going with us as well. Ranga is off with border control. Shizu turned around, looking confused because she didn't know who Kurama was. Naruto pointed at Kurama, who was lying beside the door. That's Kurama. He's the demon that was inside my gut, Naruto said carefully. He was unsure how Shizu would react. He looked at it from her angle, not that he needed to. Back when he first met Killer Bee, this is a similar situation. Naruto had a burden who wanted to kill him, and he met someone who was best friends with his burden. It gave Naruto hope, but it also ate at him for a while. Why was he the one that had to have the violent chakra beast? Why did he have to suffer while someone else seemed better off with theirs? It was a similar situation. Shizu, however, was much more positive than Naruto was. She is too pure at times. Shizu didn't get jealous. Instead, her face lit up and started sparkling. She limped quickly, over to Kurama, and started stroking his fur. So soft, she declared. Kurama woke up, and his back legs started moving similarly to a dog when they are petted. Shizu continued this until Kurama regained clarity. He spotted Naruto holding his gut and trying to hold in a laugh. Not a word, he warned through their mental link. His threat wasn't very effective considering his state right now. Shizu had him on his back receiving belly rubs. Naruto still wanted to go eventually, so he saved his best friend. Come on, Shizu-chan, Kurama still needs some dignity at the end of the day. Shizu pouted but still stopped. She got curious when she looked at Naruto, though. Naruto-kun, are your whiskers as sensitive as Kurama here is? She asked innocently. Naruto knew better though. He still couldn't lie though. I mean, yes, they are sensitive, but don't try it, he warned as Shizu stalked towards him. She took a few steps before pouncing him. Let me pet your whiskers. And this was the day Naruto learned how good rubs felt. 30 minutes later, Naruto, Shizu, Shuna, and Kurama were currently traveling at a slow pace through the forest. Naruto and Kurama could have run ahead, but Shuna and Shizu, in her current state, wouldn't be able to keep up. So, instead, they kept in their current pace of walking. Naruto could have also sent shadow clones ahead, and that would be the perfect idea for this kind of mission, but he had clones working on chakra control back in the cave. He hadn't forgotten about the idea of a Chidori variant. How well do you think that's going to work? Naruto asked Kurama as they continued walking. Shizu and Shuna were off to the right side of Naruto while Kurama was to his left. What? Kurama asked, not hearing Naruto's earlier thoughts. How well do you think my Chidori idea is going to work? He restated to his partner. Kurama took a few seconds to respond. I think you will fail, Kurama answered bluntly. Naruto nearly tripped over his own 2 feet. What? Why do you think that? Do you think I'm not good enough? Naruto asked/demanded. He and Kurama had been through literally everything together. How could his partner doubt him like that? Calm down, Kit. It's not me thinking you're incapable. But let's review the facts. He paused. What killed you in the first place? Why are you asking me this? Naruto asked, suddenly defensive. He had stopped walking, and his companions were getting worried, but Naruto ignored them for the moment. Answer the question, Kurama replied calmly. Sasuke's Chidori, Naruto answered after a few seconds. Right. Now, here's another question for you. Suppose a child almost drowns in water. How do you think that kid would react if, say, his parents throw him in to swim again? Kurama asked. Naruto thought for a few moments before he figured out what Kurama is trying to say. You think I'd become traumatized? That I'll freak out when I see it again? Naruto said apprehensively. Exactly. I'm not saying you'll never be able to learn it, but Naruto, you haven't even been in this world for a year. Slow down. You have Sage Mode, R Mode, and Sage of Six Paths Mode. You don't need any more new techniques, Kurama explained. Kurama may not show it, but he was worried about his partner. Naruto hasn't stopped since he got here, and that can tire someone out quickly. I'm not saying to stop training, just give yourself a break every once in a while. Kurama cut off the link. Kurama had to pat Naruto a few times to get him out of his funk and to notice his two companions again. Shizu and Shuna looked at Naruto with concern after adopting a blank face for a few minutes and stopped moving. They both noticed the light coming back into Naruto's eyes as he refocused on them. Shizu was the one to speak first. Are you alright, Naruto-kun? You had stopped completely for a few minutes there. Is everything okay? She asked, concerned for her friend. Shuna spoke before Naruto could respond. You aren't sick, are you? I brought water and some medicine if you need it. Shuna had started reaching for her bag, but Naruto laid his hand on her arm to stop her. He put his other hand on Shizu's shoulder and then smiled brightly. Thank you both. For caring about me, I mean. It feels nice to know someone has my back. He turned around to start walking again. Come on, I'll explain along the way. Shuna and Shizu looked at each other, nodded, and followed after Naruto. Naruto did not end up saying exactly what had happened in the few moments he was frozen. Originally, he was planning on telling them about Kurama's theory but decided against it. That would have the fourth or fifth time he's talked about his past. He doesn't need to involve others in his problems more than he already has. That was the least of his problems because he and his group had just arrived at where Soai had last spotted the orcs. It had been about 4 days since Soai and Gabiru went back to the Lizardman territory. Meaning, they had about 3 days until they would bring their reinforcements to the Lizardmen. Kurama had already been tasked to return to the village and tell everyone else his plans. They would arrive around the same time Naruto does. The direwolves are carrying the goblins and the Kijin are fast themselves. What do you two think their main goal is? Naruto asked suddenly. They had been staring from atop this hill for a while now. The orcs or the Meijin behind them? Shuna asked. Shizu had a good idea of why the orcs are doing this but waited until Shuna gives her idea. The orcs. I can already guess that the Meijin is doing it for power. Or they're operating under someone who has an agenda. I've dealt with people similar to that before. They create an army and stew fears so that they can swoop in at the end and rule the world, Naruto answered. Shizu silently agreed. She had lived for a few decades at this point, and knew how villains work. Shuna gave her answer to the original question. I think the orcs are going to the nearest large population to consume them. From what I understand, an orc lord has an ultimate skill called starving ones, which makes his entire race constantly hungry. Any other being they consume adds onto their power, Shuna explained. Naruto responded, so, this orc lord is trying to find food for its entire race? That's commendable in a twisted way. His companions nodded their heads slightly. Shizu spoke up, well, we should probably keep going towards the Lizardmen territory. There's a good chance they could already be close to there. Shuna and Naruto agreed, and they left to go towards where the Lizardmen are. Lizardmen territory, so I had arrived at the Lizardmen's land with little issue. Gabriel and his posse walked in front of Soai most of the time. When they went towards the entrance, they allowed Soai in once Gabriel vouched for him. They took him straight to their leader. They took him to a large cavern where the leader sat on a chair, slightly elevated above everyone else. Chieftain, Soai spoke neutrally. In front of him were Gabiru and his party bowing to the chieftain. Soai stood behind them, but still had an aura that demanded respect and attention. I assume you are a representative of the ogre village? The chieftain guessed. There was some logic there. It's not every day that monsters intertwine with one another. Soai respectfully denied the claim. No. I serve under a master that comes from a goblin village. His name is Naruto Uzumaki-Gifu. He is a slime, and he had sent me here to ally with you. The chieftain looked pleased with the idea of another group helping them against the orcs. Unfortunately, one of the younger generations was not as keen. If you serve under a slime, you must be incredibly weak. Why would the proud lizardman work with a stupid slime he was cut off when something pressed against his neck? There were multiple lines of the string pressed against his body and his neck. So I turned around and spoke coolly towards the lizardman. Speak about my master like that again, and I'll end your life where you stand, so I spoke without remorse. The chieftain joined the conversation before something happened. Stand down, he yelled. We will not disrespect our guest or anyone who tries to help us. We are proud, yes, but we are not ignorant. Take a second and think, we wouldn't stand a chance against that number of orcs. Especially, when an orc lord leading them, the chieftain explained. So I nodded, satisfied that the chieftain had a good head on his shoulders. I will make sure to inform my master of what has happened here. It was a smart decision to stand with Naruto-sama, so I spoke with little care, but there was an edge to his speech. Anyone could tell what would happen if another was to speak against this Naruto figure. The lizardman chieftain stood up and looked towards Soai. When can we expect your reinforcements? He questioned. A few days, if that even. My master is making much haste to get here. I can assure you that if you stay here until my master arrives, this war against the orcs will be much easier. Soai spoke with confidence. Some would say he was foolish, arrogant. However, he knows how strong his master is. Sending clones to the cave while Naruto trained was an eye-opener. Very well. In that case, we will follow your advice. Gabiru, still a little high from having his ego stroked, looked ready to oppose his father. Father, surely you see that we can easily defeat these orcs. We don't need allies. He was interrupted by the intense killing intent directed at him. Surprisingly, it wasn't Soai that was angry. It was the chieftain that was upset. Have I failed as a parent? When did I teach you, or any of your age, to be this arrogant? We need allies. He roared at his son. Why are your eyes so clouded? There are only 20,000 of us in total. Only half are battle ready. How do you suppose we fight 200,000? He said in a low voice. Gabiru was silent. Never had his father raised his voice against him, or any of his siblings even. Gabiru remained motionless while Soai moved to leave. I will inform my master of the agreement we've come to. Expect a battle in 3 days, and expect a massacre. With his piece said, Soai blurred and disappeared. Similar to how a body flicker worked. Back with Naruto, Shizu, Shuna. They had left the area where Soai had last seen the orcs. Now, they were pacing themselves to arrive at the lizardman's land in exactly 3 days. Kurama had returned a while ago. He reported that Benimaru, Cheyenne, and Hakuro would arrive with 20 goblins with their direwolves. Kurama was then sent to travel with the other group. Naruto knew they were capable, but this way they had instant communication. Naruto was planning to use the rest periods to train more. He would sleep on the night before they reached the lizardman's home, but until then, he would train his ass off. Meaning there would be at least 1,000 Narutos training away from their campsite. He kept his progress a secret to give his companions something to look at when he arrived. Naruto Uzumaki never did anything subtle. Naruto Uzumaki Gifu would be no different. Shizu interrupted him from his thoughts. Naruto-kun, have you thought of a way to defeat the Orc Lord? She questioned. Shuna looked interested as well. She's right, this isn't a normal foe. It could have the power of a demon lord. Shuna gave her input. Naruto nervously scratched the back of his head. Yeah, about that. Most of my plan consisted of hitting it until it submitted, he replied, slightly embarrassed. If that doesn't work, I might eat it. That or experiment against it and test some new abilities against it, Naruto stated. New abilities? Shuna inquired. Shizu seemed just as confused. Oh. I haven't shown either of you my newest/improved abilities, have I? He asked hypothetically. Instead of waiting for an answer, he answered himself, in that case, let me show you what I got. Naruto walked over to a lake that was close to them. It wasn't large but big enough to host an ecosystem. Slowly, Naruto raised his hand. At first, it was a small, orange flame. Then the flames rapidly changed. Quickly, becoming black, white, blue, and purple. The flames stayed around the size of Naruto's head. Naruto moved his hand in a throwing motion, and the fireball shot into the sky. It went past the clouds before disappearing. Shizu and Shuna expected a lot more. All that dramatic build-up for this. Boom! They all looked up, expressing different emotions. Naruto looked proud at the fireball that had exploded into a small city-sized explosion. Shuna looked fascinated and awed that someone she was close to was this powerful. Shizu's feelings were a little more complicated. At first, she was amazed at Naruto's feats. That was a small ball he had thrown into the sky. She didn't want to think about how big it would be if Naruto had let out more of his power. After the initial amazement, Shizu became a little fearful. She had known plenty of people who fell to the temptations of power. They became powerful enough to make others fearful of their presence alone. She was sure Naruto was different, but she hadn't known him for very long. She slowly turned to Naruto and asked a question, Naruto-kun. How much control was that? That must have taken years to master that amount of control. I am unsure if Shuna-chan noticed, but I did. That explosion was delayed. Am I right? Shizu theorized. Shuna was still glossy-eyed from the example, so she didn't hear this conversation. That's right. However, it only took about 1,000 clones working for 12 hours straight to gain more chakra control. With that math, I gained about 33 years of straight control working through my clones. Even then, I only really have 45% total control at the moment. My goal is to be able to that with just a single flicker of flame. Naruto explained. He went on into more details, but Shizu tuned him out. I don't usually swear. But Naruto's fucking insane. 33 years? 33 years. After 33 years total of training and he's only got 45% control? How much power does he have to control? Shizu continued to rant to herself. Eventually, they all got out of their unique funks and looked for somewhere to set up camp. They all agreed to a spot in the middle of a clearing by a river. It was good for the watch person because of the height advantage of trees. The river also provided somewhere where everyone could clean themselves. Shizu asked Naruto to join them as Naruto again, but he firmly denied the request. There ain't no way in hell I'm fulfilling Pervy Sage's dreams. Naruto is meant for stealth and trickery, not a free way to steal glances as women's nakedness, he spoke wisely to Shizu after she asked. Shuna didn't care either way, but Shizu looked depressed. If Naruto had given her fox ears, they'd be drooping at the moment. But, don't you care about my happiness, Naruto-kun? Shizu's lip quivered as she spoke. Naruto almost gave in there and then. Curse you, Pervy Sage. I like being ignorant more than being informed. Naruto declared in his head. He escaped by saying he would take the first shift and that the girls should sleep after their baths. Shizu reluctantly agreed. Shuna agreed on the condition that her sleeping bag would be to the right of Naruto's. Naruto shrugged carelessly, not seeing the problem. Meanwhile, Shuna schemed inside her head. I will cuddle with Naruto-kun, she declared with determination. Shizu noticed a glint and was a little brighter than Naruto. Fine. I can play that game too. Shizu smirked as they all went on to whatever they wanted till they fell asleep. His whiskers will be mine. Shizu kept her demon-like aura throughout the night. Any animal or monster ignored the area, purely because of her. Let it be said once more. Women are scary. These swamplands are thick, how in the hell do they even walk through here? Naruto ranted as they arrived at their allies' home. They had walked continuously from their previous location, only breaking a few times to rest. They had decided to stop one last time before entering their mountain opening. Naruto, being the workaholic he is, had gotten immensely stronger through clones. He still had to work on his physical strength. Shizu answered for him, they have webbed feet, it helps them traverse the land much easier compared to mammal-based creatures, she explained. Of course, they would have adapted through natural selection to survive better. Shuna added they also have it so thick because it adds a layer of protection. The orcs will be much slower compared to what they could be. No other monster, except for other water-based ones, would have as easy of a time as they would. Naruto could see what they were saying. I guess it's similar to how the Sunigakure had one of the best defenses only because of their sand. Yuzushigakure, my clan's home, had the best defense because of the multiple whirlpools surrounding it. It took 3 other entire villages to defeat my clan's home, Naruto said, proud of how strong they were. He would boast for them. They were still his family, after all. Shuna and Shizu looked amazed at how strong his clan must have been. They seemed ready to ask more about his home, but he stopped them first. I want to hear some stories about your homes. I can't be the only one storytelling here, he said, slightly excited. Shuna and Shizu looked at each other and nodded. Shuna spoke first. My home was a village filled with only ogres. Our home ran on a system similar to a monarchy, and I was considered the princess. My brother was considered the prince. Most of my life was being pampered and prepared to be a housewife. I was expected to marry someone into the family to become the king after my brother and his future wife passed. Shuna's tone was one of annoyance and disappointment. She didn't like the idea of being seen as a trophy, or something to be won. Shizu had a hand on her shoulder as she continued. My brother played the role he was supposed to, but that doesn't mean he liked it. I remember him coming home from hunts and ranting about how our father kept pushing him towards females. Cheyenne was someone our father pushed for, but she was always more of a sister to us. Shuna took another sigh as she continued, skip forward to this year, and Benimaru and I were both engaged to separate spouses. I was with an ogre that had green hair with a huge ego. Benimaru was with someone that had long, blue hair and was from a noble family. Skip again until we were about to be officially married, and then the orcs attacked. Shuna started shaking slightly. Shizu had her wrapped in a full-on hug while he stood across from her and let Shizu comfort her. Ironic, isn't it? I've been comforted before, but I still can't exactly comfort someone else, Naruto thought to himself. Kurama snorted. Doesn't help that when you did, it usually was more negative than positive. Remember the pink-haired one when you were kids? You would try comforting her, and half the time she spat back in your face because the great Uchiha wasn't the one doing it, Kurama slightly ranted. Kurama may have enjoyed Naruto's pain as a kid, but he was a lot less sane back then. Now, he sees more of the mental trauma Naruto has gone through. Naruto slightly ignored Kurama to listen to what Shizu and Shuna were talking about. They had agreed to just cut out the last part of the story. Shizu then turned to Naruto. I'll tell you guys about my home, but for right now, let's get some tents set up and somewhere to sit. Naruto and Shuna agreed. Naruto went off into the woods to find some logs to sit on and plenty of sticks for a fire. Everyone was around the fire about 30 minutes later after everything was set up. Naruto sat on a log that was across from Shizu. Shuna was on her own log to Shizu's left. They had some wild boar and some berries for supper and agreed to let Shizu tell her story after they all ate. They all threw away their leftovers, and that's when Shizu started her story. My world is much different than either of yours. Just hearing the tidbits of Naruto's, and living here for decades proves that to me. My world is far ahead in technology comparatively. We have planes, cars, computers, phones, and advanced medicine. Just to name a few. Our world, however, was similar to Naruto's in the sense that we were in constant war. Our wars were much more destructive. I had lived alone with my mother during a war called World War II. My father had been drafted to fight for my country, Japan. I was sent here through a summoning by a demon lord, but before I was summoned, my hometown had been bombed. The American forces retaliated against us and bombed Tokyo. I had been injured, and my mother had been killed. Shizu was much more stable while retelling her backstory compared to Shuna. She was calm and didn't show any signs of PTSD. When I arrived here, I was just a small child. The demon lord Leon Cromwell had viewed me as worthless, a waste of existence. I had begun to beg to be useful to him. I had thought that if I was useful enough, he would end the pain I was experiencing. He gave in but gave me something I wished he hadn't. Ifrit. Ifrit possessed me and healed my wounds. I was able to control my rampaging magicules. I then went on to serve Leon for many years until the hero came to invade his mansion. I was left on the rear guard, abandoned. Ifrit recognized the strength of the hero and did not intend to fight her. Instead, she took me as an apprentice. I went on to learn from her for a few years until she left on a grand quest. I was left alone to adventure the world. The rest of my life, up until meeting the adventurers, was filled with me doing quests for the guild and building a reputation. Shizu ended her tale. There was a stagnant pause as everyone soaked in the information. Wow. Talk about one hell of a story. A world whose wars were worse than ours. That has to be in a universal record book or something. Naruto thought, still slightly amazed. I wonder if the bombs were comparative towards tailed beast bombs, Kurama thought alongside Naruto. It didn't sound like it. From what I understood, it seemed like it took multiple bombs to destroy one town. Tailed beast bombs, at full strength, could easily level 1 or 2 villages back home. Could be more considering how our strength is different now. Naruto replied. Shuna had started speaking with Shizu about the different fashion and aesthetics of her world, so Naruto was free to converse with Kurama. True. Then again, your Rasengan alone could take out a small settlement if pushed with enough power. Kurama explained. He wasn't wrong either. It may take longer to charge up, but Naruto could theoretically create a Rasengan the size of a town or larger. It wouldn't be very effective considering the time he would have to spend starting the Rasengan. That's right, but we've seen where thinking bigger and more power is worse. Think back to my fight against Sasuke. The Chidori is an assassination technique. It was created for the purpose of killing your enemy quickly and quietly. Ironic when you considered how loud the damn thing was. Both Kurama and Naruto unconsciously rubbed their ears at the memory. Anyway, back to my point. Sometimes being smaller and concise is better than being flashy and explosive. Naruto concluded. That's why you wished to do that huge fireball with a small wisp, to show your more shinobi side. Kurama began to see the benefits of this. Naruto wasn't planning on being in the public eye, outside their goblin village at least. He was going for being the equivalent of a daimyo's personal assassin. Or similar to Danzo and the third Hokage. Exactly, I'm not going to let pervy sage's teachings go to waste anymore. I'm ready to be more serious about doing everything I can to prepare to protect my precious people. Naruto stated boldly, determined to get stronger. Understood. And Kurama did understand. He's been with Naruto since the beginning. Kurama already knows how his host operates. Naruto tuned out Kurama and entered the conversation about the different worlds' less violent aspects. They talked about clothes, housing, population, and different races. Naruto's world was just slightly ahead of Shuna's but was majorly behind in the population of different races. Shizu's world also only had the human race. Shizu's world had the largest population in general, and the best technology. Shuna's world was considered the best naturally. Their world wasn't often plagued with war, nor was it polluted like Shizu's. They continued to talk until late at night. They all had separate tents set up, and Naruto was tasked with being the night watch. He could easily go days without sleep. Plus, with his shadow clones, he had the best chance of spotting trouble. Naruto a few miles away from the campsite. So, what do you think we should work on tonight? Naruto asked his partner, as he entered the clearing he had been going to every night. It wasn't far from any of the campsites they set up, so it worked out. Well, you have had enough clones working on chakra control to properly use the Rasengan. Why not try the Chidori, mixed with Black Lightning? Kurama suggested. Naruto's eyes slightly widened in excitement, but also surprise. I thought you were saying I wasn't ready to attempt the Chidori? It confused Naruto. Just a few days ago, Kurama was all against it. What changed his mind? I had a bit of an epiphany. What if because you're using Black Lightning, which changes the lightning's color, it wouldn't affect you? The Uchiha Brat's lightning was a light blue. Making your Chidori a different color may help you, Kurama explained. It was a good idea, in theory at least. That's a good point. Plus, I have more than enough chakra control for a Chidori variant. The only real obstacle is going to be seeing it and not panicking, Naruto said. Kurama agreed and gave Naruto the go-ahead to attempt the Chidori variant. Kurama also said he would force himself into control if Naruto started panicking or something else happened. Naruto held his right palm out towards the ground with his left hand grabbing his other arm. Slowly a purple light started to appear. The light grew and grew until there was a noticeable thing in Naruto's hand. A purple, black, and white Chidori was showing brightly throughout the clearing. It continued to gain size until the very unique Chidori sound started. It was as 1,000 birds flew right by him. Naruto had his eyes closed while concentrating on creating the Chidori correctly. He opened them and slowly raised his glowing fist near his face. It mesmerized him. There was none of the despair that would have come with a regular Chidori. Instead, it was almost tranquil. The sound that came from the original Chidori was no longer there. It had slowly faded out as Naruto stared into the Chidori, longer and longer. The deafening sound was heard clearly, however. The amount of power Naruto had in his hand was amazing. This feels more powerful than my Rasen Shuriken. The name, Chidori, doesn't do it justice. I need something else, any ideas? Naruto asked Kurama suddenly. He cut off the technique as he talked with Kurama. I don't know, but I suggest going away from Chidori. Something like Lightning Blade, maybe? Kurama suggested. Naruto shook his head in a negative. Nope, that's what Kakashi-sensei called his. Or at least, that's what Gai-sensei called it after Kakashi-sensei supposedly cut lightning in half. Though if nothing else comes to mind, I'll use that. Naruto decided that his Chidori variant would remain nameless until he thinks of something. Naruto stretched and decided that was enough training for the night. He ordered his clones to dismiss in groups of 15 and then went to bed. Overall, this was a progressive trip. Naruto had returned to the camp quickly and quietly. He left a reinforced shadow clone while he slept. He had also ordered the clone to place some beginner detection seals around the camp. They wouldn't do anything except sending a signal to Naruto, or in this case his clone, about the person being detected. It was around 5 a.m. when it happened. Someone, or something, had crossed the line to enter the little camp. The seal deactivated was farther from the camp, about 100 feet or so. The clone had decided to stalk the mystery figure until it figured out if it was friend or foe. There was a good chance it was one of the lizard men on board a patrol. The clone ascended to the tree and hopped silently, using every trick in the book it could think of to keep quiet. It had seals drawn over itself to erase sound, and that was about it. He mentally smacked himself that the original had not learned more seals. Theoretically, they could defeat almost anything with seals. Kagaya came to mind. She was a goddess, though not a very good one. What kind of god lost to a bunch of teenage mortals? She would not be able to show herself in her divine realm for thousands of years without being made fun of. Back to reality, the clone was right above its target. The clone's eyes widened once it got a good view of what was there. Orc, it silently thought to itself. The clone made another clone to go back to the camp and wake up the original. Shizu and Shuna wouldn't be needed for defeating this enemy. Plus, the clone knows how much the original wants to test out his newly named technique, Thunderblade. The idea behind the name was that thunder came after lightning in terms of speed. Whenever Naruto using the technique, there's an after effect of a sonic boom. That was something they figured out through testing from a clone that he had sent several hundred miles away. The clone's clone arrived back at the camp quickly and quietly. It went towards the original's tent to wake him up. The original was spread out throughout the tent, his arms and legs stretched out to take up as much room as possible. "Boss!" the clone whisper yelled. "Boss, get up! We have a problem!" The clone walked over and started shaking Naruto. "Geez, alright. What is the issue?" Naruto asked, barely awake. He was having a nice dream about becoming the strongest in the world. Then, he could order everyone to create an international celebration of ramen. "There's an orc on the way here right now." Naruto seemed to have flipped a switch. His eyes narrowed, and he seemed to awaken himself completely. "Where?" was all he asked. "I'll pop so that you'll know exactly where." Naruto nodded and stood up as the memories entered him. "Kurama, you want to see the new technique in action?" Naruto asked his partner as he left the tent. It wasn't until Naruto had started tree hopping that Kurama answered. "Meh. I guess so." Kurama didn't seem very interested, but Naruto knew better. His partner was just as curious as he was to test the technique. "Trust me. This'll definitely be worth it. So what if we wake everyone up? It'll be awesome to see the destruction," Naruto said excitedly. He closed in on where the clone had stationed itself and crouched near the clone. "Anything new?" Naruto asked his look-alike. The clone shook his head. "Nothing, just him walking towards the camp. I'd suggest taking him down here. That way, there are no chances of collateral damage," the clone suggested. Naruto nodded, seeing the merit in his suggestion. "Noted. You are free to dispel." The clone quickly went up in smoke. Naruto turned his attention to the walking orc. "Now, how do I deal with you? I guess I'll find out when I talk to you." Naruto hopped off his branch right in front of the orc. Quickly, the orc pulled backward and prepared itself for a fight. "You smell delicious," the orc realized after a few seconds. The human in front of it had the most delicate smell of magicules he's ever seen. Thanks?" Naruto was temporarily stunned, and that allowed the orc to get a quick punch in. It was jumped forwards and allowed its weight to carry it towards Naruto. Naruto, still being slightly confused, couldn't move out of the way of the orc's punch. Naruto's body flung backward towards a tree and landed with an audible oomph. "That was just rude. Ignoring your attack, why are you here? What business do you have coming towards my camp?" Naruto questioned, completely ignoring the orc's attack. He had left his imprint on a tree and walked towards the orc again. The orc seemed to consider Naruto's words before answering. "I have come to eat you," it simply replied. Naruto just tilted his head. "What, am I some kind of delicacy to you orcs?" Naruto asked. He was genuinely curious too. If the orcs were attracted to him in some way, he could use that to his advantage. "Your magicules are the highest around this area. Any orc eating you would grow immensely stronger," the orc answered, surprisingly clear with its words. Something isn't adding up here, Naruto thought in his head. Kurama agreed with Naruto. "That aside, where are all your buddies? I thought the orcs worked under one lord at all times," Naruto questioned. His paranoia was increasing immensely as they continued talking. "Do not worry about them. You couldn't make it back there in time to save your friends anyways," the orc stated ominously. Naruto's eyes widened, and he quickly realized he fell into a trap. "Kurama, deal with this asshat. I'm going back to see if Shuna and Shizu are alright." Kurama didn't even get a chance to respond before Naruto speed blitzed his way back to the camp. Did he leave his pet here to play with me? I guess you'll be a good starter meal," the orc arrogantly said. Kurama stared at the orc with an eyebrow raised. "Oh? You're still here? I guess you meat sacks can't sense chakra then." The orc ignored Kurama. It assumed he was begging for mercy. "Let's see how you handle this." Kurama summoned his armor and sword as he grew taller. Quickly he rose to be easily 3 times as tall as the orc. Kurama raised his sword and swung. "I wonder if you'll survive this, tiny pig." The orc tried running, dodging, hiding, anything to get out of the way. He did not. With Naruto, I guess someone pissed Kurama off. Though, it's not like it's hard to do that anyways. Naruto thought to himself as he arrived at the camp. There were about 50 orcs in a circle around something, or someone, in the middle. They hadn't noticed Naruto, so he silently jumped to the trees to gain a height advantage. Naruto almost exploded with rage upon seeing what was in the middle. Shuna and Shizu were passed out on the ground in the middle of the circle. Their clothes were cut and burned at various places, showing that they fought before going down. One of the orcs started talking. Naruto assumed he was higher up in the chain of command, considering that he was taller and had better armor. Kijin and a human. You both have high amounts of magicules. Fought well too. Too bad the orcs have become the strongest race in the entire forest. The orc spoke arrogantly. Now, let's split them up and feed our army. The orc roared. His allies roared as well and moved closer to the fallen females. Naruto had seen enough. The orcs were just mere inches away from Shuna and Shizu when something stopped them. There was a cloud of dust as the new arrivals started speaking. Oi. Were you thinking of eating my friends? The dust moved to reveal Naruto to the group of orcs. Naruto had already made clones to move his friends far, far away from here. Naruto turned towards the leader orc while smiling. It wasn't a friendly smile. I'm going to enjoy beating the shit out of you. Just the same as you were to my loved ones. Naruto activated his chakra cloak. Now be a good pigyan. Stand still for me. Naruto's hand lit up with his thunder blade. You think a little lightning will hurt me? I am under the command of the Orc Lord. I am the highest besides the Lord himself. The orc continued to boast as Naruto started bending his legs. What do you think the likes of you could? There was silence. 1, 2, 3. Boom! The iconic sound of thunder roared throughout the valley. There would be stories passed down to children about how the surrounding area shook from the sound alone. The orc's body has disintegrated. There was nothing left. Only blood remained on the ground. Naruto didn't give any of the other orcs a chance. Quickly, he went around spamming Thunder Blade, and occasionally used his lightning technique to create chain reactions through each orc. The orcs never stood a chance. As Naruto continued with the slaughter, he remembered something Iruka taught the academy kids about the Hokages. Flashback. It was in the first year that they learned about the Hokages. Iruka had been the one tasked with educating the students. Naruto had ignored most of the lesson. Most of the Hokages were not interesting to him. That was until he mentioned the fourth Hokage, Naruto's favorite. Iruka began speaking. Now we will talk about the fourth Hokage. Minato Namikaze, also known as Konoha's Yellow Flash. He was known as a prodigy during his time, a once-in-a-generation graduate. He graduated and quickly climbed the ranks. During the war, he was Jonin, and therefore able to take a genin team. During the war, Minato was forced to leave his genin team behind. Kakashi, a now renowned Jonin, was left to act as a team leader. Minato would arrive just in time to help turn the tables of the battle against the Wagakure. There's not an exact number, but rumors have it that he had single-handedly turned the battle against 1,000 soldiers. Iruka stated, with some pride in his village's past Hokage strength. Any questions? Naruto, surprisingly, raised his hand. Iruka-sensei. He yelled. Iruka sighed. Yes, Naruto? He was ready for a stupid question. Something silly, like what was his favorite color. Do you think I could be as cool as him one day? Naruto asked innocently. The other kids started laughing. They knew Naruto was dead last. What chance did Naruto have to be half as cool? Iruka, however, was stunned. Yes, it did seem like it was a stupid question, but Iruka knew better. He knew Naruto slightly before the academy. He just wants to be recognized as the fourth Hokage had been. Iruka thought sadly. He looked towards Naruto and smirked. Of course, Naruto-kun. Anyone can become the greatest through hard work and determination. Naruto would remember that lesson for years to come. Flashback end. I guess I can be like Dad. Look at me go. Following in his footsteps, Naruto quickly pivoted to dodge a punch. Too bad, I'm just going to have to do even better than him. Naruto thought as he finished decapitating an orc. All around him was blood. He was covered in blood from head to toe. Naruto stood in the middle of the clearing. All around him were the leftovers of the massacre. Body parts were thrown around, with the blood covering the forest floor. This would be the beginning of Naruto's rise to fame throughout the world. Naruto fell to his knees as exhaustion caught up with him. He slowly fell to the floor. Consciousness slowly faded out. He saw two figures running towards him. Even if they couldn't hear him, he apologized. Sorry you had to see me this way. were his last thoughts as he passed out. Shuna and Shizu after Naruto took them away. Shizu slowly opened her eyes, adjusting to the light change. Her head felt heavy, as if something was constantly sitting on her skull. Once she fully came to, she noticed Shuna sitting across from her. Shuna was in a similar shape. Shizu scooted towards Shuna and expressed concern for her friend. Are you okay? What happened? Shuna nodded her head but winced from the sudden movement. I feel okay. I just have a slight headache. I don't remember what happened. All I can recall is hearing footsteps and then darkness. Shuna said, slightly concerned at the memory loss. They had been in their tents last, she remembered. They sat together in silence for a bit, attempting to regain their bearings again. Shizu was upset. She began to debate and question where she went wrong. She had once been known to be someone fierce, strong, and dependable. Now look at her. She was under another person's protection. There was nothing she could do by herself. Naruto wasn't a bad guy by any means, but she wants to be able to rely on herself again. She was given new powers and hasn't done anything with them. That's right. She had no one to blame but herself. She was the one not taking advantage of the gift. She had been the one to stunt her growth. I swear, I will become strong again. I'll regain my independence, my individuality. Shizu thought passionately. She had her fist clenched, her face showed a brave face. While she was having her inner debate, Shuna was having her own. Brother, Shion-chan, Shizu-chan, Naruto-kun, and everyone else. They're also looking after me, and the one time they're not, I lose without knowing what happened. Shuna wasn't upset with herself like Shizu was. Instead, she was inspired. She looked at all the powerhouses around her and swore to herself. I'll become strong. Strong enough to take care of myself, strong enough to be depended on, strong enough to scare enemies. Shuna thought fiercely. The two inspired women sat in silence for a while before Shuna came to a realization. Shizu-chan, we forgot about Naruto-kun, she yelled. Shizu's eyes widened. You're right. No more words passed between the two as they ran towards their camp, unaware of the clones following them from the branches. Camp seconds before Naruto finished. As they ran along, they could hear the sonic booms going off every few seconds. They sped up after it stopped. The forest trees stopped continuing as they ran into the opening. Shuna and Shizu stopped as they saw what had happened. The urge to vomit came quickly. The feeling was erased when Naruto looked at them. His eyes didn't quite match the smile he flashed at them. That's when he started falling. Naruto-kun. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the next part, don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Please like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know your thoughts. Check out my other videos for more content you might enjoy. Until next time, take care.